put her on the boob and she's like a sucker fish on my boob, and it's like, Now let's talk about physical changes that I've noticed after 6 months. What actually happens after breastfeeding? It is just out all the time. I swear I've almost answered the door with the boob out. Boop, boop, boop. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Nicole, and if you're new here, welcome. We are talking all about breastfeeding today. It's all about the boobs and the milk. So if you are bottle feeding, or I guess there's only boob or bottle. If you're bottle feeding, this may not be the video for you. We are just specifically talking about breastfeeding because that is how I have been feeding Sage, my daughter, who is now 7 months old. And, you know, I've been very fortunate. It's been a semi-good experience. It's changing a little bit these days, but I'm gonna be talking all about my experience, changes, physical changes of how my boobs have changed, how I sort of, not lost my milk supply, but definitely decreased, how I got it back, and just how I learned how to breastfeed and my overall experience. So this is like the breastfeeding 101 video, hopefully to help other mamas out, future mamas that were like me and had no idea about breastfeeding or pumping or any of those things. So if you guys are new here, subscribe, click that red button down below, join the HealthNut community. I post motherhood, lifestyle, food, vlogs, all the things. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. I have been wanting to film this video for a little bit now. It's been on my to-do list. I've been getting so many questions about breastfeeding, about my journey. And honestly, I just wanted to wrap them up all into one video for you guys. So I have a lot of things to go over, and we'll just start from the beginning. The first little bit, you're learning how to breastfeed. You're like, what the heck? My boobs are now a food source for a baby. And it's crazy. And I know that beginning stage can be really frustrating because, you know, you're learning, the baby's learning, you got nipples that have never been sucked on before like that. And it's just a lot. So I'm going to talk to you guys about all the deets. And first up, you know, I think my milk came in, I think by day 3. So if you didn't know, the first milk that comes out is actually colostrum, which is like this like kind of a light yellowish liquid. It's not milky looking at all, at least for me it wasn't. So that stuff is like liquid gold for your little one's immune system. And honestly, in the beginning, their stomach is like the size of a pea. So you may think they're not getting much, but they're getting full. And at this point, those first few days, they're gonna be what I later found out was called cluster feeding. I had no idea what this was. Basically, Sage was born. We were in like the honeymoon la stage. And then Matt ran into another dad in the hallway and he was like, oh, is your little one, like, congrats, is your little one cluster feeding yet? And we're like, what's that? And then I swear it was like a couple hours later, boom, cluster feeding. And it's basically when they are feeding on demand around the clock, like every 45 minutes for 45 minutes. It's kind of crazy, but basically there is a reason for it. It is helping to bring in your milk. Breastfeeding works with supply and demand. The more your baby sucks and needs milk and wants milk, the more milk your body produces. It's actually quite genius. So, you know, if you have a really big baby, you might be producing more milk. If you have a smaller baby, less milk. So that way you're not just like walking around with like super engorged breasts all day long. So during those first couple of days, you are just feeding, not really knowing if they're getting much food at all. But what you can really listen for is them doing like a suck, gulp, or like swallow, suck, swallow. And it's the swallowing that you can really tell if they're actually getting anything. And then of course their diapers. So I mentioned this in a previous video, but there's like a little rule of thumb our nurses and midwives told us, and it's day 1, 1 pee, 1 poo, day 2, 2 pees, 2 poo, day 3, you get the point, basically up until 7 days. And so, you know, listening to them swallow, checking their latch, and then checking their diapers are good indicators if they're getting enough food. And then obviously their weight. So when babies are born, they actually drop in weight a little bit. And then I think within like the first couple of weeks, usually you want them to reach that birth weight again and a little bit more. So Sage actually reached her birth weight again, I think within the first week or two. I think it was like the first week. It was pretty quick. All right, the most important thing, let's be honest, when it comes to breastfeeding, you may or may not know this, it's the latch. So let's rewind a little bit. Sage comes out of my body. It's a crazy experience. If you have not watched my birth vlog, I will link that here and down below. It's very raw and real, and I cannot believe I put that on the internet, and it's, I think, over 2 million views right now. 2 million people have seen Sage come out of my body. Kind of crazy. Anyways, basically she comes out, and within, I feel like a few minutes, the nurse is like, or my midwives are like, do you want to latch her? And I'm like, okay. So she basically, it's so crazy, the instincts of babies. And I know this is not every baby, but Sage, like, she taught me to breastfeed. I always say this when people ask me about like tips for breastfeeding and how I had a good experience. And honestly, I just say it was all Sage. Like, she comes out into the world and it's like, she just knows what to do. I put her on the boob and she's like a sucker fish on my boob, and it's like, like, I was so in shock. I'm like, what is happening? And she had a pretty good latch right off the bat, I will say. But the important thing to note, and I basically got tips from my midwives, the doula, the nurses at the hospital, and I just took information from everyone and asked so many questions. But you want, like, the more nipple, and I should say the more boob in the mouth, the better. I used to think that breastfeeding was just like at the tip, like your nipple, and it's not. It's the areola, it's like even some of the boob, and you really want more boob, the better, in their mouth, because that is going to help give them a better latch and suction, but also reduce pain on the nips. Like, if they're just suckling on the tip, you are not going to make it past the first couple of days. Let me tell you. It is, when people ask me, like, is it painful? And we'll talk about pain in just a sec, but the other thing that really helped me out was one of the girls that actually works on my team, Brittany, who is a mama of 3 boys. So like, she's got to know something by now. I trust anything she says. She sent me this breastfeeding tutorial video and I got so many great tips from it. It was a good refresher, but it was just a nice visual of really getting that good latch and really how to start from the bottom lip up. If you watch the video, it'll make sense, but I'm going to link that down below. I'm going to have a full blog post with everything I'm mentioning in today's video, with any links to products I'm mentioning. So be sure to check that out. But that video was so helpful. But in terms of pain, I would definitely say the first 2 weeks are the hardest. And what really helped me was just making sure I had a good latch. I had an organic nipple butter cream that I used religiously, so you don't have dried, cracked nipples and sometimes scabs. Like, I know, I don't want to scare you, but things can get rough, pun intended, with the breastfeeding, especially in the beginning. You're basically having to tough up your nipples. They've never been in that situation before. And yeah, so you're basically, you're just desensitizing them to their new life. You're like, sorry guys, stick with me. This is gonna get better. And it's crazy to think back. I thought, like, there's no way they're ever gonna get used to this. Like, this is just really painful, but they do, and it kind of happens quickly. Like, at least it did for me. You just have to stay on top of the aftercare, like making sure they are dry, they are moisturized, and they are taken care of so that they don't get dry and cracked, and like, you just don't want to deal with that. So one thing I did use, which I kind of didn't want to use it, but honestly, I just weighed the pros and cons of it. But I did use a medicated antibiotic steroid cream that I got at the hospital. You can't get it at like a regular drug dispensary. It's like a special one that you can only get at certain places. So we did get the prescription, and I didn't want to use it because I didn't like the idea of putting that, on my body and then have Sage, latch on with that. But I was told it was safe for both of us, but I still was paranoid, and I would actually like put it on after she was done feeding and then wipe it off before she would feed. So like, I'm sure there was still some remnants left over, but like, I just tried to not use it all the time, but it did get me through the first couple of days. And I just think it would have been a harder time without that. But the nipple butter, the organic one I used, helped so much, and it was a great lip chap too. So I used the medicated stuff the first like week on and off, and then I basically just used the organic nipple butter basically for the first few months, and it worked really, really well. And just, like I said, good latch is so important. It will really save you and your boobs. or your nipples, I should say. Now let's just talk about when your milk does finally come in, and the experience was so unreal. Like, I was convinced, so my biggest fear about breastfeeding, I mean, it's not that big of a fear, but I just thought, like, what if my body just doesn't produce milk? Like, what if, not that I don't have a good enough supply, I couldn't wrap my head around my body physically making milk. I'm like, it doesn't feel like there's anything in there. Nothing feels different. I don't think my body knows to make breast milk. Like, I just was convinced I wasn't going to be able to breastfeed, even though I wanted to so bad. And by, I think it was the third day, my milk comes in, and it's like, I just got an instant boob job. I wish I took photos. It is so crazy. Like, you wake up and it's like, boom. Like, it felt like that. Every gland in my breasts was filled with milk. It felt like they were so engorged, rock hard, and it was the most uncomfortable feeling ever. I thought, is this what like breastfeeding feels like? Is this going to be the sensation all the time? Like, I don't know if this is for me. And I will tell you, that goes away. Like, they are not rock hard anymore. But the beginning, holy crap, so weird, so hard, so big. It looked like Frankenstein titties. It just was crazy. So anyways, that was quite a sensation, very uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable that I actually ended up using cold cabbage leaves, just placing them on to help reduce some of the swelling. So if you are breastfeeding, you don't really want to put cabbage leaves on because it does decrease your milk supply, which is why it helped me. But my milk came in so fast, and like I had such a heavy flow that Sage would often choke on the milk. So I had to actually lean back, because if I would lean forward, my flow would be faster and she would always choke, and I'd always have to like lift her up to like let her kind of catch up. And so I definitely in the beginning had a really fast flow. So I don't know if that's why they just got so enormous, but it was really uncomfortable, and I'm really happy that like things leveled out. And just honestly, like, my boobs feel normal now. They're heavier because there's milk in there, but unless Sage sleeps the entire night or has gone a long time without feeding, I feel like they don't get that crazy engorged feeling anymore. But it's an experience. It's such a weird sensation. I can't even explain it. Feels like they're just going to explode from within. It's so strange. As I mentioned, cluster feeding is basically like just nonstop around the clock breastfeeding. It's kind of crazy, but just hang in there because it does get better. And then I noticed, like, as Sage got older, she would feed for less time because they become more efficient feeders. So in the beginning, she would breastfeed for like 40 minutes every couple of hours. And then as she got older, it would change to like 20 minutes. And now, honestly, I feel like it's 10 minutes and she's done. And it's so crazy because I can actually see her like mouth and like her tongue suction and how efficient she is. And she's just like gulp, 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 gulp. So like they just learn and they get really fast and efficient, and it's kind of crazy and cool at the same time. So yeah, I'm breastfeeding full time now still, but it seems like, I don't know if it's just I'm used to it, but it seems easier than it was in the beginning. All right, so many things I did notice in the beginning. I dealt with a couple of interesting things in the beginning. Number one, a milk bleb. I didn't even know what that was. Basically, it's like a milk blister. I had it on the tip of my right nipple, and it looked like a little white mark. I had no idea what it was. I think it's basically like clogged milk, like hardened. And it was causing me pain because it's basically causing a blockage. So I don't think I had a full like blocked duct, which is also no fun. This little milk bleb blister thing was causing me a lot of pain. I would get like sharp shooting pain in the deep like breast tissue. So what I did after I like figured out what it was, I would massage things out in a hot shower with a little bit of oil. I would also exfoliate lightly with a washcloth, like very, very lightly. And then also, I just remembered this now, it wasn't even in my notes, but I also would use a little cotton round and put castor oil and then just pop that underneath my bra. And that really helped too, to kind of like soften and lift that block up. So yeah, it took probably a couple of weeks, to be honest, to get rid of it. It was a little painful, but just the massaging really helped. But honestly, just massaging in general, I've heard is really helpful just to help prevent any blockages from happening. Okay, let's talk about leaking, because I've mentioned this before, but in case like this is the experience for you, I didn't know that some moms don't leak. like, I mean, it's been amazing. I just didn't know that was a thing. And especially in the beginning, I had a pretty heavy flow, like I mentioned. So I don't even know how I was able to not leak. Like, there'd be times where I would press and it'd be like squirt of milk. That's how fast my flow was, but they just didn't leak. Like, I was prepared with the reusable breast pads. I was just ready to deal with that whole situation, and like nothing. And so I'm like, thank you, breastfeeding gods. I honestly don't know what I did to deserve this, but I just never knew it was a thing until experiencing it. So I don't know if it's just not very common, but yeah, I haven't had to deal with any of the leaking, like literally zero leaking. I didn't even know that was a thing. Comment down below. I'm curious if this is more common than I think, but did you leak or nothing at all? Let me know. Also, Sage just woke up, so we may have a cameo from her in a second. So let's talk about bras. I get so many questions about the bras I use for nursing and pumping. So I grabbed all of them. Somehow they're all out of the wash. I don't know how that happened, but I have a few of my favorites. Most of them are pretty inexpensive. And actually one of them is my fancy one. Those are in the wash because I wear them all the time. I actually did a little try on haul with it, which I'll insert a little clip of. They are beautiful. Highly recommend that if you just want to feel like you're not wearing a nursing bra. But these are just great go-to everyday ones. A lot of them are from H&M. So I have these little bralette ones and they just unclip and hello, peekaboo. So I got two of those, gray and green. I wear these probably the most. And then we have the crossover style. This is really nice too because you can just like flip out your boob easily and super comfortable. It doesn't even look like a nursing bra. I have two kinds of this one, also from H&M. Just, yeah, nice casual ones. And then these are ones I wear all the time that I get asked about. They're not nursing bras. They're from Aerie. I will also link them below. They're awesome because they will transition with you out of breastfeeding. Although I get sad when I think about not breastfeeding Sage. Even though it's so much work, I'm like sad about one day not doing it. It's such a weird love-hate relationship. So I'm actually I'm wearing a white one right now, but these are so comfortable. I wore them throughout my pregnancy. I wear them now breastfeeding, and you can also easily take your boob out for breastfeeding in these, and they're so comfy. They're usually on sale, and I have a ton of colors in them. Now for pumping, let me show you the breast pump I use. It's just been cleaned, so it's like all taken apart. This is the double electric breast pump from Philips Avent. Honestly, it's the only one I've used. Actually, this is the second one from them I've used. This one's amazing because it's actually portable, like you charge it and it has like a strap that you can just carry with you around the house. I've worked with them in the past. This is not sponsored, but I really love this one. It's super comfortable. I like it because you have the option to wear it, around with you, strapped on, so you're mobile, which is really handy. Or you can just sit and watch Netflix and pump as well. But yeah, I also like that it is a double one because some of them are just a single one and like that would just take so long to do one boob at a time. And I usually pump for around 20 minutes a session in case you're wondering how long it can take to pump. And then you also need different bras to pump with. I did not know this. I just thought like they suctioned on. You don't need anything to hold them on. Yes, you do. So you need a pumping bra. I have two different ones here. So I have this simple basic black one, and then this one here is a cool design because it's actually a nursing bra. I love like the pink cheetah too. It's really comfortable. It's a nursing bra, but then if you want to turn it into a pumping bra, you just take off the front strap part, you strap this around, and there's holes to pump. So I really like this one, but I would recommend at least two. So if one's in the wash, you have the other one. I pump right now once a day. In the beginning, I've only pumped 1 to 2 times a day because Sage does not take a bottle very well. So depending on if baby is taking a bottle or not, that may determine how much you choose to pump. There are different reasons to pump. It can be to bottle feed. It can be to increase milk flow. It can be for emergency cases. Mine was mostly emergencies and now increasing my milk supply, which I will get to in just a sec. Water break, because when you're breastfeeding, you're always thirsty. All right, let's talk about food and diet because I get a lot of questions about that. Things to help increase your supply. There are tons of like teas and cookies and stuff that you can buy. I have them. I haven't really used them. There's also like supplements like fenugreek you can take, and I think soy lecithin. I haven't taken any of that, and I'm not saying it's bad too, I haven't. I have the tea sitting in my cupboard, and honestly, I've been thinking about drinking it. I just sometimes don't think about it, but basically, I've been trying to add things like flaxseed and oats to my diet. They are great for milk production, and just drinking a ton of water, getting my sleep, taking my supplements, and just making sure to get in those healthy, wholesome foods, because when you are breastfeeding, and you may not know this, but your body actually requires, I think it's more calories than making the baby. I think it's like 200 to 500 calories a day. Your body burns a lot of calories making that milk and breastfeeding your little one. So if you are thinking like, oh, breastfeeding is some kind of like weight loss trick, it's not. If you don't meet those caloric needs, your body will start to make less milk. You need to like eat for you, but also for that milk production. So yes, some people say they've lost weight from breastfeeding, but honestly, like your hunger is unreal. And so you just want to make sure like, yeah, you're going to be hungrier because you are burning more calories, but you know, you want to still focus on eating whole, real foods and just nourishing your body, because what you eat, baby eats. Just like when you're pregnant, you want to make sure that you are eating the best that you can. So it is nourishing your little one as well. And yourself, you need it too as a new mama, trust me. In terms of my overall experience with breastfeeding, honestly, I've really enjoyed it. I feel like I've had a good experience. Sage has been a great little breastfeeder, and I feel like she's the one that makes it pretty easy. Now, I will say recently, she is now 7 months. This last like month, all of a sudden, I think because like as they get older, they start to become more aware of the outside world, sounds, distractions, if the TV's on, if the dog's running past them. And she will do the constant like, look around, look around, or she's just too distracted. So a lot of times, like I used to be able to breastfeed her anywhere, and now a lot of times I have to come into the bedroom, into a quiet spot, or like my nursing chair, like somewhere familiar, and I have to tell people, like usually it's Matt and Cashew, to like tone it down with the noise, because she just will not focus. So that is one thing that's kind of been annoying. And all of a sudden she's been getting really fussy. Like she yells at me to switch to the other side, then she wants to go back. She's very demanding on the boob. And I don't know if that's a normal thing between like the 6-7 month mark. I know she's probably going through a growth spurt because she's eating crazy, which I didn't even talk about yet, but she is on solids now. We started her at 6 months, and she is eating 3 meals a day now. She's crazy. She's such a big eater. Even though she's a small baby, she is so hungry all the time. And I would say that I am breastfeeding her. I feel like I'm still breastfeeding her, let's see, morning, probably 3 times in the morning. I want to say 6 times a day. I actually just posted a 24 hours with a 6-month-old video, so you guys can check that out. I'll link it down below, and it shows everything, an entire day, a realistic day with a 6-month-old, how many diapers, how many milks, how many meals, changes. I said diapers. Anyways, it's all in there. So if you want to check that out, you guys can watch that. But I also did one with a newborn. So there's 2 videos you can compare to see how often I breastfed. And I've actually been meaning to watch the first one and compare them myself. But in terms of bottle feeding, she just has never been, I mean, I don't want to say never. In the beginning, she did take a bottle for a little bit, but then once she could distinguish the difference between a fake nipple and a real nipple, she wanted nothing to do with the fake ones, even pacifiers, like she's never really been into. And I mean, it's one less thing to have to wean her off of, but it's been a little bit harder as a full-time breastfeeding mama, as well as a full-time working mom, to be breastfeeding around the clock without much help from dad with the feeding. But now that she's eating solids, it's been really nice because Matt can feed her, I can get some work done, take a shower, have a nap, sleep in while she's still being nourished with another type of food. So I would still say I'm breastfeeding pretty much the same amount that I was like before she was eating, but now she's just hungrier because she's growing. So she's getting food, like solid food, liquid food, and she's just eating around the clock. It's a full-time job just feeding her. Let's talk about confidence with breastfeeding. I feel like it's such a weird topic. Like, people either feel really self-conscious about breastfeeding in public, and others are just like, here's my boob, it's out. And like, I always thought I was going to be a lot more conservative when it came to breastfeeding, not because I cared what other people did. I just thought for me personally that I would just care more about being covered. But honestly, since breastfeeding Sage, I just like don't care. You are breastfeeding around the clock. The last thing on your mind is that your boob is out. I like forget that it's still considered like a sexual thing. It is to me just a bottle attached to me with a straw. And that is how I feed my baby. So you become very desensitized to it because it is just out all the time. I swear I've almost answered the door with a boob out, and it's just not something I think about a lot. And half the time in the beginning, you're walking around the house with either no bra, no shirt. A lot of times it was just a nursing bra and a cardigan to keep my arms warm. But it's out all the time. So I think naturally you become desensitized to it. Now, because we've been still in lockdown, I'm home more. So it's not been something I've had to navigate a lot. The one thing I've really loved is that I don't have to, if I go somewhere, I don't have to like carry a bunch of bottles and formula with me. I don't have to warm up anything. So it is, although it's more work on me because she won't take a bottle, it's also nice that wherever I am, we have baby's food. So that's been really convenient. Now let's talk about how my milk decreased. I noticed a decrease in milk supply around the time that Sage started sleeping throughout the night. It was like this weird, yes, she's finally sleeping, but damn, my milk is going down. I could just feel that I wasn't as full as I was at one point. So to help things out, I started pumping again. In the beginning, I pumped every single day because I wanted to create a backstock of frozen milk in the freezer. But then when Sage wasn't taking a bottle, I kind of slowed down around like the 3-month mark. And then after, when I noticed a decrease in my supply, I started pumping again. So I am back to pumping. I pump at least once a day. Usually after she's gone to bed for the night, I will pump while we're watching TV. And then I will have that for her to add to her food and stuff like that, because that's what I've been doing with her freezer milk, is putting it in her food. But also it helps boost my supply because my body thinks baby needs more milk, so it helps increase my supply. And honestly, that has helped so much. I also don't wake up in the morning with really engorged breasts, because that usually happens too when they sleep throughout the night until your body regulates. But because I'm pumping at night, it's helping increase my flow, but it's also emptying the milk ducts, so they're not super full in the morning. They're like just full enough for her, but not uncomfortably full. Now let's talk about physical changes that I've noticed after 6 months of breastfeeding. I feel like people don't talk about this enough, and since I like to keep it really real here on my channel, maybe too real sometimes, but I just wish someone told me. Like, you hear certain things that, you know, your boobs get saggy, people want a breast lift after, things change, but like, what actually happens after breastfeeding? And I'm only been breastfeeding for 6 months, okay? I can only imagine what they're gonna look like after a year of doing this or longer, and maybe even after multiple babies. Like, goodbye boobs. And I just want to be real with you guys, because they definitely change, and I'm sure they go back a little bit, just like your stomach does from growing a baby in your belly. But like, I just want to talk about some things that I noticed, and I was like, whoa, okay, will they ever be the same? Probably not. Was it worth it? Yes, I love breastfeeding. I wouldn't change it for the world, and I'm so fortunate I'm able to, but it does come with a little bit of a sacrifice, not gonna lie. So let's talk about nipples. They definitely get a little bit darker. It's so your baby can find them easier. It's crazy how your body just does these changes like automatically to help your little one. It's actually crazy. So honestly, I was looking at them today because I knew I was going to talk about it, and I feel like I don't even notice them being darker anymore, but I feel like I remember at some point them darkening. So I think it happens when you're pregnant. It's just now I'm just used to it, so I forget. But it's, you know, it's like you did a little suntan on your nipples. It's like, it's not that much darker, but it's a slight shade difference. Let's talk about sagging, because everyone's worried about this. I definitely have noticed a little bit of sagging, I'm not gonna lie. And you just have to think about the fact that they're going through so many changes in just a 24-hour period. It's like filling up with milk, draining of milk, filling up, draining, filling up, draining. Like, they are going through so much stretching and shrinking in every single day. So they are bound to get a little tired and droopy, you know? At first I was like, oh yeah, like it just felt like I had like that teardrop, that teardrop shape. Maybe this is weird to explain, but I just never had like, I was just always part of the small titty committee. And now I'm like, oh, they're bigger, they're fuller, they have some weight to them, they dropped a little bit, but then they just like keep dropping. You're like, what's happening here? Why are they like, okay, that's enough, that's enough. So yeah, definitely some droppage, but honestly, like you put a bra on and like, it's fine. I feel comfortable still wearing no bra. I've heard that, you know, they can go back a little bit, but I don't really stress about it because there's nothing I can do about it. And I wouldn't not want to breastfeed Sage because of like an aesthetic thing like that. But yeah, I just want to be honest and say that it does happen. The other thing I have noticed is that my skin just seems more like stretchy, like elastic. And I don't know if it's because like Sage literally uses the side of my boobs as like handlebars for when she's feeding herself. But it's just like I guess the skin kind of gets like thinner and stretchier because it's always like shrinking and stretching all day. But yeah, definitely noticed that. And then the other thing I noticed, I did get some stretch marks underneath in the beginning, but I feel like those have faded. They were like these like darker, redder lines. But they have pretty much gone away, so I didn't know if that was going to stay or not. And then the other thing is sensitivity. Things are just definitely more sensitive, but not in a painful way and not in a sexual way. I don't know how to explain it. It's just your nipples are more sensitive. And yeah, anyways, like I said, not in a sexual way, not painful, just they're much more sensitive and more like perky, I guess, because you got to think like your baby's sucking on them all day long, so you just have like permanently hard nipples. It's so weird to talk about this on the internet, but I just wish like someone told me these changes that were going to happen to my boobs, which is like, you know, something you see every single day, and it just changes so much in a short period of time. Like they are different boobs than I had pre-pregnancy. Like they're someone else's. They are not mine, but now they're mine, but they took a while to feel like mine, you know? And also they're very heavy. Like if I just hold them, they're so heavy. They have weight to them, probably because they're filled with milk. And yeah, they're just very different these days. So I thought I would just explain a little bit of like the physical changes to them. But honestly, it's kind of fun. Sometimes it's like, oh, like these are new and they're cool. And like, I don't know what they're gonna look like when I'm done feeding Sage, but like I said, I wouldn't change it for anything. It's not like I regret breastfeeding. I love it. And I know so many moms have a hard time with it and it's so different for everybody. But I just want to encourage other mamas to breastfeed if you can. You know, don't be scared of it. And it is such a wonderful bonding experience for you and your little one. If it's not something that you can do, you know, there are so many other ways to feed your baby, and fed is always best. But I have truly loved the experience of breastfeeding, and I'm just grateful I'm able to do it and experience that with Sage. So, but that is my breastfeeding experience. Hopefully I answered everything. If I forgot anything, leave me a question down below in the comments. Just say hello. I would love to chit chat with you guys. And as I mentioned, I'm gonna have a full blog post listing everything I mentioned, all the product links and everything, so you can easily find those. And speaking of breastfeeding, I'm gonna go feed my little one. Let me see if I can grab her. Hi. Oh my goodness, it's little belly. Hi. Hi. Oh, that's mommy's mic. I know. Want to say hi, everyone? Did you have a good nap? Yeah? Boop, boop, boop. Hi, baby. Telling everybody about your pro nursing skills. Yeah, okay. So speaking of feeding, there are also a couple ways that you can feed your baby. The traditional, the football, which I used a lot when I was unclogging the milk bleb, and you can even go like underneath them. All right, I feel like this is the perfect way to end this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you just want to know more information about breastfeeding, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. I gotta stop talking. Bye, guys. Okay, shh.